Good evening, Nick Inman here from VolumeProfileTrader.com on Thursday, April 26th. And S&P had a nice follow-through day today from yesterday, really from the day before. And we're looking for the market to see if the market can continue higher. When the market closed today, I think S&P came out and downgraded Spain from I think an A to a triple B, something like that. The market sold off on it, gave up its gains, got as high as 13.98, the S&P futures, and right now trading 7 points lower. So that's worth noting. NASDAQ futures, the real story is Amazon, which you can see closed at 196 or so and popped massively in the after hours, and that'll help the NASDAQ futures some, I'm sure. I'm not sure what the weighting is there, but it's up $25, so that's just something to be aware of. So let's go through a few names. American Express, another 52-week high. So this is working. All the credit cards are working. So if you want to be in a credit card, American Express isn't a bad idea. Now it's at a 52-week high, so you have to be careful. Visa, not a 52-week high, but close. MasterCard, yes. Some names I'm looking at are Southern Copper. Even though I'm a little negative on the overall market, when you look at Southern Copper, it pays nearly a 7% dividend, and I think this is something that you can be a part of. I have no position in it right now, but what I see a few things in copper. One is the fact that this could be a potential bounce off of a trend line that's has been profitable. We do have a little bit of resistance here, basically at current prices. You have 50-day moving average, which I care less about. What I care more about is you have the point of control for the year here. That's kind of a recipe for some type of lower high, potentially. So it's just something to be aware of. You can look at a name like it's a little different, but Cliffs. I was going to recommend a short off of these levels. I failed to report it. I even failed to take a position, but that ended up working out the right direction. So enough of that. Let's go with what is working. Alright, biomed. I recommended this on the 23rd when it was around $22, and now it's trading $24.40. So that's up about 6%. So not too bad of a move. Okay, XLF bouncing off of this big high volume area. Good to see. Pretty light volume, but that's kind of how it got started back here, right? Light volume, and it just kept going. So that's just something to be aware of. Now we're seeing the follow through. So you look at something like J.P. Morgan, which is, you can see bouncing off that big high volume area. Wells Fargo, bouncing off the 50, looks good. USB, almost a new 52-week high today. And let's see, that I did J.P. Morgan. So let's move on. Let's see. I started this video, and I had it on pause, and I was going through all of them. If I didn't do this one, Amazon reported earnings, huge $25 move. Actually, $30 move to the highs. That's pretty impressive. So that's going to be interesting tomorrow. All the way up towards 220, 225. That's we have a gap at 227 or so. That's just something to be aware of. So, all right, let me go back through these names. Agrium continues to work. I have a stop right above break even. So that's just something to be aware of. Looking for a continuation, but it's light volume, or it's been light volume, and I just don't want to overdo it. Pfizer, new 52-week high. This is just a name that you can continue to hold and kind of forget about. CVR Partners continues to wander around. I think this is a do-nothing. Just see what it does. Research in motion. Let me zoom in so you can see it better. Bouncing off this point of control for the year. I wouldn't be surprised if it pressed towards 15. Wouldn't be surprised if it really got up towards 18. So just something to be aware of. Let's see, Netflix. Similar thing with Netflix was point of control for the year was down at this $68 level, and then it broke out to the upside for a huge move, nearly a double. So that's just something to be aware of. A double on REM would be what, $26. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but I think 18 is in the cards. J&J, I recommended buying this in the mid 63s. So this is, it's a slow mover, but it's one of those names that you can sell calls against and maybe collect 12 to 20% a year by selling calls and collecting the dividend. Maybe that's something that works for you. The euro, I think that you can sell against this high today. What was the high? 132.66. After Spain gets downgraded. I think, in my opinion, my view is to hold dollars, U.S. dollars, and, so far the market's telling me that's not right, but I still believe in it. American Electric, I think it pays 5% dividend. This is just like Pfizer, just like J&J, just sell calls against it and collect that dividend. ConocoPhillips, you place your stop under yesterday's intraday low, around 70.50. And you see if we can get a push back up towards basically the value rate high, these recent levels, maybe the mid 70s, and then you look to take the trade off. Travelers, this is I think my best performer in my portfolio. Continues to power off. I recommended it when it was still in consolidation. It broke out and kind of been slowly adding to the trade since, because it continues to work, so there's no reason not to. Kind of jumping around here, VIX below the 50-day, back at the lower end of the range, something to be aware of. So just watch it. Polaris, 52-week high today, though it sold off from its highs, just something to be aware of. Celgene, you should have gotten stopped out of this today if you didn't already sell prior to earnings. So I think that this is a name that you just kind of watch now. I think the vertical moves over. Chevron performed very, very nicely today compared to Exxon, but I think both are opportunistic times where you can kind of get involved and look for new highs. So that's just kind of how I feel about that. Hewlett-Packard, I think you place your stop below 24. We are at the top end of the range, so you're risking about 3% right now. Wait to see if you can get a little more downside, but I wouldn't shy away from scaling in now, and I would just be selling calls against nearly everything right now, just because that's how I think the market is. Visa, not sure if I did this after I paused the video and just kept going, but close to a 52-week high. MasterCard 52-week high. American Express 52-week high. My choice is American Express, but whatever works for you. All right. Like I said, I don't remember if I covered this. biomed continues to move higher. This has been a 10% move since we've gotten on 423. Now my position's relatively small, but it's working, and I think it's going to continue to work. I don't think there's any reason to sell. You have about a little less than a month until earnings. ConocoPhillips, I think I already talked about that one. You place your stop under yesterday's intraday low. Gold, I like this. I want to see it continue to move higher. I think it's going to catch people off guard, as I've kind of been, really, what have we been doing for the last couple of months? We've had a slight downward bias, sure, but the lows have been relatively, pretty much the same, and now we're looking for a potential move to the upside. I have a 160 by 162 call spread on GLD that expires in May. That's up about 30 to 40% right now, so I'm happy with that and continue to hold that. until it gets up towards 162, and then I'll reevaluate. Another name I added to today, not Credit Suisse. CSX, I would like to think that this is going to break out. We're above all the moving averages. They're starting to curl up, which is something I like. We're above the point of control for the year, and now we just want to see a follow through, just to kind of check with some other names in the industry. Kansas City Southern 52-week high. Wish I said I was in this one instead, but I'm not. Union Pacific, kind of similar. Wish I was in this one, but I'm not. CSX is my name, and I'm gonna stick to it. So, really, that's about it. I'm sticking with the market. One thing I did put on right before the market closed was I shorted the SPY, and my reasoning was, let's see if I can get the chart. All right. You can see the significant volume here. 147, this general range. We got up to it today. I sold against it. Guess what? My stop's right above this. Guess where my target is? Right down to this point of control level here. If I checked to see if it got filled after hours, because I see the big spike, but it didn't. And but I think my fill is, I sold it at like 140.05. I was trying to get like 140.10, but I had to chase it a little bit, and so I got 140.05, and have a buy back around I think 139.25 or something. So I'm trying to make, what's that, 70 cents, and now my risk should be even less. Probably going to move the stop to break even in the morning, just so I don't risk anything, because I don't like doing that. So anyways, take care, have a good night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.